This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the bottom feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. Today I'll be joined by James Smith of Homestead Pool Services, and he has an interesting background which we're going to cover here in this podcast, and I'll let him unpack that for you. But more specifically, he has a pool chemistry course that he's developed, and I think you'll find this course really helpful if you're new to the industry or want to expand your knowledge of chemistry. We're going to cover that also in this podcast. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy coaching program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support from me. I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. So I'm joined by James Smith of Homestead Pool Services. How you doing, James?
Pretty good. Good to be here.
The reason I have you on the podcast, there's a few reasons. You have an interesting background. We'll go over that in the podcast itself. And you also have a chemistry course that you're developing. So I'd like to give a plug for that as well for you. So let's just start by jumping into the questions here. What got you started in the pool industry?
I've been in the pool service industry for quite a while. Actually, that was how I supported myself in college. I moved out of my house in 2005, and I needed to support myself. So a buddy of mine, his dad owned a pool service business in Dallas, Texas, and serviced commercial properties across the DFW. So I actually started working for him. I worked for him through college, and he was a really good pool service pro, so I learned a lot.
And I should emphasize that you're in Texas. So Texas is the state where you have gigantic backyard pools, right?
Yes, and commercial are really large as well.
Well, everything in Texas is big. I was there in Dallas for an event, and I went to a barbecue place, and I think it was the size of a football field.
I believe it. Oh my goodness. The 2 skimmers over here, 2 skimmer pools.
Okay, yeah. I hate those, by the way, but yeah. So you got started in that aspect, and now you have your own service. And let's just talk a little bit about the service that you developed over the last, how many years have you had your own business now?
Over a year and a half now, I've had my own business.
How many accounts do you have right now?
At the present time, I have 48.
And these are pretty big pools?
Yes, anywhere from, I would say, the smallest is probably 8,000 gallons, and the biggest would be just over 35,000.
Yeah, and I think that's important for the listeners because a lot of states like Arizona, California, and Florida, the biggest pool we have is like 12,000 gallons,
Right.
It's crazy.
No, I've got big pools, and when I did commercial, I even serviced like 70,000 gallon pools.
And that'll come in a little bit later when we talk about the chemistry part that we're going to dive into. And you're part of my coaching group too. And what made you join the group itself?
So I joined the coaching group because I had the commercial background, but I wanted to start a residential business. And I realized that I was trained in somewhat of an old school method of range chemistry. And then I quickly learned after finding your videos and also listening to Bob Lowry that there was more sophisticated methods of balancing the water. So I needed some particular help in that regard because I had always done it the old school way. So I wanted to join your coaching group so I could get the help that I needed and the jump start when I went out on my own.
I noticed you're pretty active in the Group Me app that I have here. And how do you see your role there with the group?
Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's a huge help to be in a community with guys that are kind of just like me who have their own businesses and we can help each other out. It's a really active group, so we're able to help each other. And I feel like because I have quite a bit of experience, that I'm able to help the guys quite a bit, but I also get help too. So it's just awesome to be in a community where we can help each other mutually.
Yeah, and a little plug for my group. If you want to learn more, go to poolguycoaching.com. And let's just talk about your background because it's interesting. A lot of guys join my group and they come from other industries. I have a few firemen that have joined, police officers, because I mean, they retire when they're still fairly young and they start a career. I get a lot of sales background people that join, a lot of corporate people join because they're transitioning from a corporate job to doing pool service. Obvious reasons why they would want to leave those positions. But you're a registered nurse, and it's an interesting background because I don't think I've had any registered nurses that had a pool service. So, what do you talk about your career as a nurse and how that plays out in your pool service?
I wanted to be a doctor, so I was a pre-med major in college, but I also wanted to go to a Bible school and serve the Lord. After I graduated undergraduate at UTD, studied biology, minored in neuroscience. My wife and I actually went to a 2-year Bible school, and we served the Lord in a full-time capacity. And we had a child, our first one. I have three, Zoe, Pearl, and Noah. But yeah, so I already had a child by the time I started to reconsider going back for more education. So kind of medical school is out of the question. So I went ahead and decided to get a master's degree just to get me back into the realm of education. And then I realized that I could become a registered nurse fairly quickly. So I did an online program and I finished the whole program in like 15 months. It was awesome. It was an accelerated program. And then I jumped into my nursing profession as a home health nurse, where I took care of a man who was paralyzed from the shoulders down. It was really a great first kind of job for me because of all of the aspects that were involved in taking care of him. Then I became a high school nurse, actually, in Fort Worth, Texas, and I loved that. But it was quite strenuous because I had 1,600 students, and it was just you know it was a rough high school. I loved all those kids, and I still love them so much. But I was having to call ambulances and just lots of things for one person to take care of. It was quite an experience. But I loved the kids, but I needed to transition out also because the pay was not too high. So then I decided to go into mental health because the pay is significantly higher as a behavioral health nurse. So I got hired to be a crisis nurse. So then I was a crisis nurse for about a year and 7 months. And I really enjoyed that. I loved taking care of the patients. Of course, they were in a psychological crisis in order to be my patient. So they were in a really tough time, but I love people and I wanted to take care of them. But that also took an emotional toll. So I just realized I needed to do something else. And my wife, Grace, she had always been telling me for years, she's like, why don't you just start your own pool service business? Of course, our wives always know best, right? It just takes us a while to catch up. So I was like, wow, okay. So the three things I wanted more time to spend with guys that love the Lord. Two, I wanted more time with my family. And three, I wanted and needed more money. So I decided to just do it. I was like, I'm just going to just take the jump and start my own pool service business.
When you got to your first backyard pool and you stood back there after everything you just talked about, I'm sure it was a relief, the transition in careers.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's such a relief. And it's almost like instead of every patient being having their own, their own their own situation, now it's every pool. So you just take care of every pool uniquely, just like I would take care of every patient uniquely.
I think this is something that's missed a lot by pool guys because we get so used to being back there, and I never really blocked this part out when I service pools. Is that the nature aspect? I love watching the birds land at the spillway, drink the water. I was, in fact, at one stop, the bird almost landed on my shoulder. I was just sitting there, and I'm not sitting there, but I was kneeling over the skimmer, and it just was right there and looking at me. Those kind of things, the sun rising, while you're at a pool, all those things
Exactly.
are just
Exactly.
beautiful and soothing. I think that's one
Peaceful.
aspect. Yeah, peaceful, that's a good word. And I really think that's one aspect why a lot of people come from corporate jobs and sales jobs in the backyard. And with your background, I'm sure you have no problems with the customers, right? Because you worked in the psych hospital.
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem at all. And, it's important to maintain a very high level of integrity and character with the customers, and they can tell.
Yeah, and I guess you can't use the pool service name Pool Doctor because Harold Evans, that's actually the name of his company in Texas that he started.
That's
Uh,
right.
but I guess you can call you haven't renamed your company, but Pool Nurse or Nurse of Pool or something.
I considered it, just couldn't come up with it.
But that background has helped you in the industry, right? Your nursing background.
Absolutely. The meticulous nature that a nurse has to have, as well as the high level of integrity and the predictive nature of what happens when you're administering medications, having to analyze all the parameters of the chemistry. A big part of nursing is knowing what's happening in the body. And with a pool, it's similar because you have all of these chemicals interacting with each other, and we need to predict what's going to happen when we add them and what it's going to be when we get back the next week. With the patients, it was similar in that we had to be very careful and cautious when we administered medications, and we need to be aware of what would happen inside the body and the mechanisms of action in the body.
So your interest in chemistry probably is because of your background in nursing. I would just assume that, and you just kind of just said it in a nutshell.
Right, right. Yeah, I've been into chemistry since I took organic chemistry in college, and my aunt is actually an organic chemistry professor at the University of Houston. I mean, that is for many years. She's retired now, but I guess it's kind of in our family.
And I mentioned that you're in Texas for a reason because on my YouTube videos or whenever I do a podcast, I always get these Texas comments, and that's good and fine in California, but this is Texas, or that may work in California, but that's not going to work in Texas. And all these comments lead into what I'm going to talk about next is that you really want to do a chemistry course and you've developed it. And this is something that is a passion of yours now, not to step on any toes out there in the industry, people that are doing this already. But I think your background in chemistry, of course, is going to uniquely qualify you to teach this course, your background as an educator and as a nurse. And so let's talk a little bit about the chemistry course you developed. And first, let's let listeners know where they can find the information so they can sign up for it.
If the listeners want to sign up for the course, they could sign up at homesteadpoolservices.com and click on the Pool Pro Training tab, and they can just scroll down to the calendar there, and you'll see several dates each month that they can register for the online Zoom course. If they register this week for the class on the 25th, then I'll go ahead and reduce the cost to really an incredible deal of $100, a $50 discount for your listeners.
Great. Yeah. And definitely, I recommend going there and looking at that course. Again, if you didn't catch that, it's Homestead Pool Services with an S.com. And then there's a tab here. I'm on there right now. I clicked on it and you can sign up for that course. And so let's talk a little bit about the course, what you're going to cover, and some of the things that someone's going to learn. I think I took Bob Lowry's chemistry course, and it was something that was highly educational because it's coming from a perspective of someone who's a chemist, basically. He was a scientist, and this is kind of the same approach you're going to take, right?
I appreciated his scientific background. His scientific background, of course, is much deeper and thorough than mine. I mean, he was even on the expert board for the PHTA, the expert panel. So I don't think I'm on the same caliber as Bob for sure, but I'm able to inherit what he has realized and discovered about pool chemistry, which is fantastic and super helpful because it gives us a full picture of all the elements that we need to have a thorough understanding of each pool we take care of. I also developed a course when I was nursing as well, and I was able to teach that course to my patients when I was a psychiatric nurse, which was awesome on the nervous system. My favorite body system is the nervous system. But as far as the pool chemistry course goes, I just feel like what I learned because I was kind of an old school range chemistry guy. And then I began to realize the more sophisticated way of taking care of pools using LSI and being able to balance the water to protect the surfaces and equipment and all of these properties that we can manipulate as pool service pros. So I brought all of these things together into one course so that especially guys who don't know about these things, there's a lot of guys that don't know about these things. And in Texas, it does work. It does work in Texas. So using LSI and using the methods, David, that you share often and using borate, it's another thing I cover in the course. These are absolutely fantastic ways to keep your water exceptionally balanced, to save money and to save time and energy because we can have exceptionally balanced water year round. So we teach in this course, of course, all the main components of water chemistry, pH, chlorine, alkalinity, calcium, TDS, all of those elements. But we're also focusing on how you practically apply the knowledge so that you can save money and your customers will be 100% satisfied.
And I think that's the key there is that education, guys and gals in the industry that are just starting, and I get a lot of these questions directly from the members of my group. There's interactions that they don't know about. There's questions about, I just did a podcast with Terra about mixing chemicals. There's all these questions about things that can be mysterious if you're just starting in the industry. And I remember when I first started, it was in 1988. It's forever ago. I was 16 years old and I was trained for a summer and I was out on my own. No cell phone, of course. There's
Wow.
payphones everywhere. And I stop at a payphone and call into the pool store and ask questions with the owner. But there was a lot of issues that I didn't know about, and a lot of things I didn't know. And for this era where you have everything accessible, especially a course like this, I think it would be foolish not to take advantage of the resources. And the course, I looked at you sent me the PDF outline of the course, and I think it's a fantastic course for anyone listening that wants a chemistry course and they want to get a jump start on their business. And James definitely would be a great person to take it with. So, any final thoughts about the industry or anything that we missed here? I think again, your background is pretty unique in the industry, and the fact that you're going to do this course to help others. I've never had time to start one of these or do one of these myself. People have asked me all the time, "Hey, why don't you do a course?" I'm doing so many other things that it's really hard for me to make the time. So I'm really always happy to help and promote guys and gals out there who are doing stuff like this because I think it does help the industry and elevates it to another level. And you're spending the time developing the course and teaching it. So, what's some final thoughts you want to share with the pool guys and gals out there?
I have a passion for teaching. I always have. And I know it's going to make my competition better, but I'm just not concerned about that because there's enough pools to go around in Texas for everybody. I just think it's awesome to train the next generation of pool pros to take care of pools properly and to help them grow their business and to I just love people. Like I mentioned earlier, I love the Lord, I love people. Whatever I'm doing, I take it seriously, and we always can get better. So I just want to train the next generation of pool pros with all of the fantastic knowledge I've gained from you, from Bob Lowry, that has really elevated the pool industry and has has brought uh, has brought a new professionalism to pool service, I would say. And I want to pass that on. And I want to help guys so they don't have to learn all of the things that I had to go and find every little piece of information. And it took, it takes time. Well, I put it all together for them. And I'm hoping, to give them the tools that they need and the knowledge that they need to make sense of what's happening in the water, why it's happening, and how they can apply this knowledge to enhance their pool business.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your time. And again, I appreciate you trying to make an impact in the industry. And by the way, developing the course takes a lot of time and effort, and hosting the course takes a lot of time and effort. So I really appreciate the effort you put into all of this and the industry itself. So thanks, James.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you for having me.
And if you're looking for other podcasts that I've recorded, you can find those, of course, on my YouTube channel. I post a new episode every Monday through Friday. Also, my website, swimmingpoollearning.com. On the banner, click on the podcast icon. There'll be a drop-down menu, over 1,600 podcasts there for you. And if you're interested in the coaching program that we talked about a little bit here, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.